Hello, I also wanted to try one of these vlogs of a shooting day, that's why today I'll take you with me on a shoot in Hanover, Germany. At the client's request, filming started at 9 AM, so I had to leave very early. I drove off at 3:30 AM, so early I wouldn't have been able to fall asleep anyway. So I packed the car at 2:45, freshened up quickly, and off we went. Then I wanted to get coffee at the gas station, not because I really wanted one. You feel that? Sometimes I just think I wish I were a coffee person and just force it down. And on the way there I saw rabbits. They're literally everywhere around that time. Easily 20 of them. It was a 24/7 gas station, but it didn't have any coffee yet, well, so I continued on towards Hanover without coffee. Traffic light in front of the tunnel, inside the tunnel, and at 4:30 AM I finally found a gas station on the highway that had coffee for me. At around 6:30 AM I was able to watch the sunrise while driving, and another hour later I finally arrived in Hanover. I made it through really well, a nearly 4-hour drive, and I arrived at 7:30 AM, so I still had an hour and a half until filming started, but no problem. I already checked Google Maps earlier. 5 minutes away from the filming location just happened to be my favorite restaurant. And luckily, despite the time, they not only had breakfast, but also the morning classics. So I quickly strengthened myself a bit. And after that, I spent the rest of the time working on my phone for a bit, definitely not doom scrolling. Then just before 9 AM I drove to the filming location and saw a funny little horse. At the location I first carried all of my equipment into the break room and set up the lighting there. Then I walked around and gathered a few impressions of the company, a few photos and some video b-roll, and then we started on the first talking head moderations. After that there were also a few employee interview testimonials and more impressions of various work situations. Everything went great, then we got a little creative with filmmaker's best friend, gaffer tape. We used it to stick the GoPro into a milling machine for a shot from the inside. Then we continued with various ads and social media content, and finally I also flew the drone. And then just as I was about to leave, a butterfly landed on the lettering of the client's company vehicle, which of course I also had to capture. On the way back there were suddenly even more little horses. I entered my hometown of Bamberg into the GPS, and the GPS already showed 5 hours, so an hour longer than the drive to this location in the morning. And after an hour and a half drive I got stuck in a traffic jam. It varied the entire time, anything from 1 minute to almost 2 hours. All in all, I was stuck in traffic for a little bit over an hour. Then things finally moved smoothly and I briefly saw another client on the street. At some point the tank ran out and then I got absolutely robbed at the gas station. €2.24 a liter, what the fuck. And on I went in the rain as it got dark and the planned arrival time continued to recede.
One shot.
Just before home there was one last traffic jam, hazard lights on, zip up procedure, and I got home shortly after 9:30. The return trip took 6.5 hours and 130 kilometers more. After this exhausting day of filming, 10.5 hours in the car and 31.5 hours awake, I immediately fell into bed completely exhausted. Just kidding, I backed up the footage, started the upload, and in between our Domino's pizza with nachos arrived, and then I started editing this reel, because